The first rule of frontier medicine is simple. You don't ask who they are, you don't ask where they came from, and you definitely don't ask who might come looking for them. You just treat the patient. That rule had kept me alive for 7 years, right up until the day I broke it. I was stationed on Orus Delta, a mining colony barely held together by rusted metal and stubborn people. It wasn't on any official map anymore, not since the corporations pulled out and left us to survive on scraps. That made it perfect for someone like me, a medic with a past he didn't talk about. The clinic I ran wasn't much. 2 rooms, outdated equipment, and a generator that coughed more than it worked. But it was enough. It had to be. Because out here, I was the only thing standing between life and death. And sometimes, that wasn't enough. The storm hit just after nightfall. Not a weather storm, a plasma surge. The sky lit up in violent streaks of violet and gold, energy waves crashing against the colony's shield grid like an ocean trying to break through glass. Everyone stayed inside. Everyone except me. Because someone had triggered the emergency beacon, and out here, you didn't ignore that. I found her just beyond the colony perimeter, half buried in ash and debris, her body curled in on itself like she'd been thrown there by the storm. At first I thought she was human, small frame, delicate features. But as I got closer, I saw the difference. Her skin shimmered faintly, like light was trapped beneath it. Not glowing, just alive in a way human skin wasn't. Her breathing was shallow, too shallow, and there was blood, dark, almost silver in the stormlight, pooling beneath her side. "Hey," I said, dropping to my knees beside her. "Stay with me." Her eyes fluttered open, and for a second, I forgot how to breathe. They weren't just a different color, they were layered, depth upon depth, like looking into a sky that never ended. She looked at me, confused, afraid, then she tried to speak, but no sound came out. "Don't," I said quickly. "Save your strength." I scanned the wound, deep, too deep. "If I don't move you, you'll die," I muttered. "If I do, you might die faster." Great options. I made the call anyway. Getting her back to the clinic was the hardest part. The storm didn't let up. Every step felt like I was fighting against the planet itself, carrying a body that weighed almost nothing, but somehow felt heavier with every passing second. "Stay with me," I kept saying, even when I wasn't sure she could hear me. Because sometimes, saying it matters, even if it's a lie. By the time I got her onto the table, she was fading, fast. I ran every scan I had. Nothing matched. Her biology wasn't just different, it was completely unknown. "Of course it is," I muttered. I had no guide, no reference, just instinct, and a life slipping away in front of me. "All right," I said, pulling on gloves. "We're doing this the hard way." I started with stabilization, pressure on the wound, fluid replacement, modified on the fly, adjusting composition based on her blood response. Her system reacted unpredictably. At one point, her heart rate spiked so violently I thought I'd lose her right there. "Come on," I whispered. "Don't do this." Her body trembled, then stilled. Flatline. "No," I said sharply. I grabbed the defibrillator, hesitating for half a second. Alien biology, unknown reactions. This could kill her, or I could let her die. I didn't hesitate again. The shock hit. Her body arched off the table. Silence. Then, a pulse. Weak, but there. I exhaled slowly. "Welcome back," I murmured. Hours passed. The storm outside faded into the background as I focused entirely on her. Surgery, repair, improvisation after improvisation. I didn't know what half of what I was doing would do, but I adapted, adjusted, learned in real time. because that's what survival looks like out here. I was halfway through sealing the wound when the door exploded open. The room went silent. Not quiet, silent, like the air itself had stopped moving. I didn't turn immediately. I didn't need to. I could feel it. A presence, heavy, powerful, watching. Slowly I looked up and saw her. She stood in the doorway like something carved from starlight and war, tall, commanding. Her form was humanoid, but everything about her radiated something more: authority, power, danger. Behind her, figures filled the entrance, armed, still, waiting. But it was her who mattered. Her gaze locked onto the table, onto the girl, onto me, and for a moment, no one moved. "You have something that belongs to me," she said. Her voice was calm, but it carried weight, the kind that didn't need to be raised to be feared. I swallowed. "Then you're just in time," I said, forcing steadiness into my voice. "Because she's not done needing me." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You speak boldly," she said. "I speak as a medic," I replied. "And right now, your daughter is my patient." The word hung in the air. Daughter. A flicker, just a flicker, but I saw it. And then, everything changed. She moved, fast, too fast. 1 second she was in the doorway, the next, she was at the table, standing over us, looking down, at her daughter, at my hands still working to seal the wound, at the blood, at the damage. And then, she froze. I didn't stop. I couldn't. Not now. Not when I was this close. "Step back," one of the guards said behind her. I ignored him. "If you interrupt me, she dies," I said flatly. The room tensed. Weapons shifted. But the Queen didn't move. "She was dying when I found her," I continued, focusing on my work. "Internal bleeding, system collapse. I've stabilized her, but she's not out of danger." Silence. Then, "Why?" the Queen asked. I glanced up briefly. "Why what?" "Why save her?" I almost laughed. "Because she needed saving," I said. "That is not an answer." "It is where I come from." She studied me, not with anger, not with suspicion, but with something else, something deeper. "You knew what she was," she said. I knew she wasn't human. "And that did not matter?" I shook my head. "No." A pause. Then, "It should have." "Maybe where you're from," I said. "Not here." Time stretched. The tension didn't break, but it changed, shifted, from threat to something else. When I finally finished, I stepped back, exhaustion hitting me all at once. "She'll live," I said, "but she needs rest." The Queen didn't respond immediately. She stepped closer, carefully, like approaching something fragile. Her hand hovered over her daughter's face. Not touching, just there. Then, gently, she did. The reaction was instant. The girl's breathing steadied, her vitals stabilized further. I blinked. "Okay," I muttered. "That's new." The Queen looked at me. "She is connected to me," she said. "Yeah, I figured something like that." She straightened, turned to face me fully. "You saved her life." I shrugged slightly. "That's the job." "No," she said. "That is a choice." I didn't argue, because she wasn't wrong. "What happens now?" I asked. Her gaze didn't waver. "That depends on you." "On me?" "You have seen us," she said. "You have touched what is not yours to touch." I crossed my arms. "Is this the part where you threaten me?" "It is the part where I decide." "Then decide." The room held its breath. Every guard, every shadow, every flicker of light, waiting. Then she spoke. "You will come with us." I blinked. "That's not what I expected." "It is not a punishment," she said. "It is necessity." "For what?" She stepped closer. "For what comes next." I looked at the girl, still resting, alive, because I hadn't let go. Then back at the Queen. "Do I get a choice?" I asked. She held my gaze. "Yes." A pause, then, "But it will define your future." I thought about it, about this place, this life, this endless cycle of survival. And then, about something more, something unknown, something bigger. I exhaled. "All right," I said. "I'll come." The Queen nodded once, not in approval, not in relief, but in acknowledgement. As we prepared to leave, I glanced back at the clinic, at the life I was leaving behind, then at the girl I had saved, and the Queen who had frozen, not in anger, not in rage, but in realization. I had expected fear, violence, death. What I got instead was a future I never saw coming. And it all started because I refused to let go.